Uh, Let me start with introducing myself for people who doesn't know me. My name is Bahman. I am originally Iranian and I live in Melbourne, Australia. So since pandemic has started, I started doing lots of virtual tours and live streamed. And since last year, I started doing some broad cultural lives. Try to do it once every month or two months. Some of you guys been on my lives before. Some of you are new. I started with lives about Iran and Iranian culture, but we have started talking about other things as well. The first live that we have about other country was about Kerala, and this live is about Buddhism heritage, the early Buddhism heritage. I should say I am not a Buddhist religiously. But to prepare this live, I had two Sri Lankan friends who were very well aware of Buddhism, and I used their help in designing this tool. So don't expect a religious presentation. If you have some Buddhists or people who are interested to have some good knowledge in Buddhism, please be mindful of me. I try to be more towards culture and history. If I have some religious notification, or if I didn't share much of the religion, it's because I'm not the right person to talk about the religious aspect of Buddhism. And please accept my apology. It's good, people keep joining more and more, which is a great thing. That was a little bit about me. For the other people who recently joined, please, and people who are on Facebook, please comment if you like. Comment whereabout you have joined and if you've been in any of my lives before. Also, as I'm presenting, if you have any topic in your mind that you are interested for us to work around it, about the Eastern cultures, Iran, Buddhism, or things like that, it would be great to either type it in the chat box or put it on Facebook. Before I start the live, I will leave the link for my Facebook page and my YouTube channel as well. My YouTube channel is the place that you can find the recordings of the previous lives. And on Facebook page, same, you can find the recordings. Also, you can find much more of the information that we share, the posts we share, and other events that we do. With this introduction, introducing myself, I left the notes for you. Let me take you to Nepal, to an area in southern Nepal, Lumbini. Not far from Himalaya mountains, and also not far from the northern borders of India, we have one of the holiest places for Buddhist people. It is one of the places that Buddha himself were recommending the followers to go and visit and enjoy the vibe of that place. So let me take you to Lumbini before showing you on any map or sharing any intellectual information for you. Let me take you to Lumbini and share a video and provide some vibe from this amazing place.
भ्रमण कर लीजिए, उसके बाद आइए। तो पहले ही आप लोग लेट करते हैं, जैसे यहाँ आना है तो कुछ लोग उधर खड़ा रहते हैं। अरे यहाँ का काम करके और भरपूर समय से घूमते रहिए, तो इस तरह का आप लोग नहीं कर सकते। आप लोगों का नेचर ही मतलब वो जेनेटिक हो गया है उसको, जेनेटिक वंशानुगत जो होता है ऐसा हो गया। हेलो, पहले आप लोग लुम्बिनी का पृष्ठभूमि जानिए। लुम्बिनी क्या था? लुम्बिनी भगवान बुद्ध के जीवन काल से पहले का स्थान है। भगवान बुद्ध के जन्म से पहले यहाँ पर एक सुंदर उद्यान था।
Okay, here is the heart of Lumbini, this amazing temple and garden. And right next to this temple and garden, we have a collection of the finest and most beautiful Buddhist temples of the world, where you can see some of the highlights of Buddhist architecture from different parts of the world. So let me share some of the photos of some of the temples around Madhyava Temple, the heart of Lumbini, to share some of the beauty and heart of Buddhist heritage around this main temple. All around this place, you find this beautiful temple with different style: South Korea, China, Myanmar, Cambodia, China, and also these water channels that symbolize the pilgrimage of the people to the entourage, and this world peace pagoda in a corner, and those beautiful garden, all of them laid down in the most peaceful fashion and the most hospitable fashion to the people who come to this part of the world to embrace the soul of Buddhism and the peace and enlightenment. Or for some people, just being curious about one of the main philosophies of the humanity that played a big role and change humanity and the way people think about themselves and the others to a big extent. But where is Lumbini and where we will go after Lumbini on this slide? Let me just give you a little bit of geographic information. Here you can see the map of Nepal, and Lumbini is this very southern part of Nepal, which is the place that Lord Buddha has been born. I will share a brief story of the birth of Buddha with you as well. So Buddha, when after his birth and growing up, started doing his pilgrimage and trips all around southern Nepal and northern India, and this is pretty much the pathway of his life, the places he was living, and started his invitation. Few centuries after Buddha, the Buddhism became a main thing in the politics and culture of the people in northern India, the triangle that you can see, and that is the place that a whole much more happened. In this part that influenced Buddhism, also the culture of a big part of Asian continent. Let's go to the birth time of Buddha. Buddhists themselves, they say that Buddha were born sometimes around 600 BC, 2600 years ago. However, historians, they believe that it should have been more likely between 500 to 400 years ago. It is said that Buddha's parents used to be one of the local kings in northern India. And in the time that Buddha was born, maybe similar to lots of other big changes in the philosophy and religion in the world, is the time that the world and the people in the area were changing. So the Aryan tribes from the northern state has been got into the India. And they were partly mixing, partly fighting with the local tribes, mainly Dravidian. So it's been a big migration that would have created lots of changes in the region. From the other part, lots of the villages and nomadic tribes, they were transforming to live in the cities, and it was the time of the start of the little kingdoms in this part of India, which means the transformation and a big, deep change in the Indian society on those days. Also, not far from these borders, bigger political changes used to be happened. First, the creation of Persian Empire and the Persian estates who were expanding right next to this part. And secondly, Alexander and the Greeks Macedonian uh, empire and the expansion towards this place. So it's been a hectic time in this part of the world. And it was the time that Siddhartha Gautama was born and created a big change and philosophy in the area. So Maya, Buddha's mother, when she felt pregnant, she asked for permission uh, from her husband Siddhartha, Buddha's dad, that based on the tradition of their tribe, Sakyan tribe, some people believe that Buddha belonged to Scythian tribes, the tribal people mainly in Central Asia, but some of them been moving to here. Some people believe that they were belong to Dravidian tribe. To go to his parents' place to give birth to her first son. She granted the permission from the father, and on the way to her place in Lumbini, in the place that we have just traveled, she felt that it's time for baby to come. So she went to the pool that I just showed it to you, the place that people were meditating next to that, and have a bath, and after that gave birth to her son, Siddhartha, to enlighten the world, and also he will be the last Buddha. After his birth, Buddha was taken to his parents' house, and the clerics, they shared to the dad that he gonna be a spiritual leader if he see these four things: death, sickness, monks, and age or oldness. So Buddha's dad raised his son, being in all the pleasures of life, being surrounded in the palace, and not being able to be in touch with the rest of the people. Soon Buddha get married and had a son, and he was curious of what's going outside. You can see the pool of where Buddha was born, and that was the time that he was in Kapilavattsa. Still in Kapilavattsa, in northern India, we can have the remaining buildings from the palaces that Buddha used to live, or the little town that he was the king. Buddha asked from his dad and insisted that he liked to go and see what's going around. And when he was traveling around with the chariot, he saw what he shouldn't see. He saw the dead, the sick, the monk, and the old. That was the start of Buddha to think about what is the reasons of the pain in the life. You can see some of the old painting of the Buddhist people about the life of Buddha. Lots of these paintings have the religious connotations. After those thinkings and having his contemplation, Buddha decided to leave the palace in the age of 29. He quietly went and have a look at to his wife and his son Rahula and quitted the palace. Soon he quitted his loyal 7 and a horse as well, and cut his hair as the start of his spiritual journey. Buddha spent 6 years until he got to his enlightenment and start his invitation in the region that I showed it to you. He started finding followers and disciples and training them. And that was the start of Buddhism to have its formation. 7 years after his enlightenment, in the age of 42, Buddha went back to his hometown and met his dad on Kudan, a hill not far from Kapilavattsa. You can see some of the remaining parts on the place that he met his dad again, and he met his wife and his son, and he ordained his son as one of his disciples. Buddha spent the rest of his life until he get to the age of 80 years old to train the disciples. So what they were doing, they were traveling during the summer and winter, and in the rainy season, the Buddhist monks, they got together in the gardens and they had lots of religious talks and sharing ideas. You can see some religious painting of the time that Buddha met Rahula and his dad as well. After Buddha passed away at the age of 8 years old, he asked his body cremated, and he asked his body to get cremated and been sent in 8 different parts of the world. Ramagrama is the only place that the stupa with his ashes stay in untouched. So that is the area in southern Nepal and northern India where we have the heritage from Lord Buddha from his time. Lots of them are very old. They are not proper architecture, but they have lots of history into that and important to understand and very interesting as well. Around 100 years, probably after Buddha, in the time that Alexander started attacking to Persia, in the time that Alexander was getting in the last estate next to Magda, the place that Buddha has his life and followers, a guy called Chandragupta challenged Alexander when he was trying to get into India. And he was successful to stop Alexander and push him back. Alexander died shortly after that in Babylon. And after that, the Greeks, commanders of Alexander, got defeated from Chandragupta. And he was the person who created an independent kingdom. Chandragupta continued his army to Magda, the area that Buddha was from, and he conquered those areas as well, and started the first backbone of a big country, which is modern India. Chandragupta's grandson, Ashoka, was a great warrior and a cruel leader as well. So when Ashoka was young, in the time that his father was the king, Chandragupta were going all around the kingdom to suppress the rebels that used to be happening by the local tribes. In a place called Sanchi, Ashoka met a girl that changed his life forever. So when Ashoka met Devi, he fell in love and he asked to marry with Devi. And Chandragupta was the king of the world. He expected that every single girl should fall in love with him. But Devi pushed him back and said that you're such a cruel man. I have no inclination to you. After the long discussion, Devi put a condition for her marriage with Ashoka, and that was to deal with the rebels without making any bleeding. And that place was Sanchi. Before I share the rest of the story, let me take you to Sanchi, which is one of the most interesting places in Buddhism heritage, and it is located in northern India, in the state of Uttar Pradesh. After that, I will share the rest of the story of Devi and also Ashoka, which is a very important person for the history of India, also Buddhist culture.
The Sanchi Stupa was commissioned by Emperor Ashoka of the Maurya dynasty in the 3rd century BC. The Great Stupa at Sanchi is amongst the most critical Buddhist landmarks reflecting Buddhist art and architecture. Built of bricks in the Mauryan period, it flourished till the 11th century. The expansion of the stupa happened during the Shunga dynasty, which took over the Mauryan dynasty. A hemispherical structure, the stupa is encompassed by 4 passages called toranas, each symbolizing love, trust, fearlessness, and peace. These were added during the Satvahana rule. The great stupa at Sanchi is crowned by a dome or chhatra, intended to honor and protect the precious relics inside. This great stupa served as a core to the expansive Buddhist foundation amid the later period. It is located at about 46 kilometers north of Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, on a hilltop in Raisen district. It was declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1988. The Sanchi Stupa is a precious Buddhist landmark and is the perfect destination to soak in some spirituality.
Okay, after Ashoka got back to his capital, Petrapuya, he had some new political measures as well, and he had left Devi behind in Sanchi. The reason of that was Devi was a commoner, and Ashoka was from a royal family, so he preferred to have her first master wife as one of the elites. When Ashoka became the king, and he was from the Maurya kingdom, the kingdom that it was referred in the video, he started going all around the northern India to expand his empire and also to put his dominance all around the place. Ashoka appeared to be very genius in war, but very cruel in the same time. He created his big empire, including Pakistan, a part of Afghanistan, and northern India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. At one of his war, when he was trying to penetrate to the south in Kalinga, he defeated his enemy really badly and massacred 100,000 people in the battle. At the end of the battle, when he was walking around very proudly of his power, he faced a woman from the opponent who complained Ashoka that he killed whoever the woman had, and the woman doesn't have any reason to live anymore. That complaining changed Ashoka forever, and he realized that he is such a cruel person. He converted to Buddhism himself, and he tried to adopt a much more tolerant approach. And there is an inscription that he talked about his change and his experience. And it is actually the first time in the human history that a king talked about his sorrow of his cruelty, and that the fact that he regretted of what he has done, which is very interesting. Ashoka, after he converted to Buddhism, he sent report to Devi and wanted to meet Devi, who had 2 children from him. But Devi was reluctant to go to Petraputra, Ashoka's capital in northern India, as she didn't want to be the second wife. So Ashoka has the respect built the monuments and the stupa that you saw in Sanchi, which from the artistic point of view, it's the start of specific Buddhist art, and it has a deep effect in Indian and Buddhist art and culture. You can see the Ashoka expansive influence in terms of the pillars that he had left. Sanchi is here in central northern India, and he also tried to expand Buddhism. Ashoka's son, Devi's son, went to Sri Lanka, and Sri Lankan believed that he is the person who brought Buddhism into Sri Lanka. Also from Afghanistan, Buddhism in the later stages after the end of Mauryan Empire, they started expanding towards Central Asia, and after the start of Silk Road, it expanded towards China. That was the time that we have the first Buddhist government. You can see Ashoka here, you can see the Greek commanders after Alexander and the rest of the government of those time in the history. After Mauryan Empire, after two other kings after Ashoka, Shengas, who were the Hindu kings, they took over, and Buddhism were objected by Hinduism in India. However, it started expanding all around the world, and after a few centuries, again, the modern country of Bangladesh, a place called Paharpur or Baharpur, became the center of the Buddhism for the Buddhist monks, the people who Buddha set the foundation for them to get together and share intellectuality and spiritual wisdom with each other in the world. So I want to take you to the beautiful Vihara in Paharpur, which is a really great heritage in terms of history and culture, but also in terms of the philosophies and the methods that has been established there in the religion. Also the architecture provided the inspiration for lots of the temples and Buddhist architecture that nowadays you can find in Southeast Asia. So let me take you to Paharpur, to the Vihara in Paharpur, and after that, I need to share a bit of more information.
A past glory of Buddhism, ruins of the Buddhist Vihara at Paharpur. An ancient building appears out of the morning mist. This was once the largest Buddhist monastery south of the Himalayas. It is located near Jamalganj in modern-day Bangladesh. Paharpur had once thrived as one of the most important centers of Buddhism on the Indian subcontinent. This monastery was built by the order of the Emperor of the Bala Empire. The Emperor adopted Buddhism as the empire's national religion. Here is a tall tower in the center of the complex. It is believed that the original tower was about 32 meters high. 4 large halls were placed around the tower towards the cardinal points. Monks studied and trained in these halls. Its cross-shaped plan is believed to represent a part of the mandala, the Buddhist concept of the universe. The complex stretches for some 300 meters square around the tower and contained all the facilities required for Buddhist training. The complex is surrounded by 177 small lodging rooms for the monks. The remains of tables to place Buddhist statues are found in each room. It shows that monks were always in the presence of Buddha and even spent their private time in study and meditation. However, there are some items displayed here that do not necessarily represent Buddhist teachings. Among the nearly 3,000 reliefs found here, some depict Shiva, a Hindu god. This turtle is believed to represent the second incarnation of Vishnu, also a Hindu god. The emperor allowed local craftsmen to make most of the reliefs, as they liked. As a result, some reliefs depict something they liked or things they were familiar with. The new ruler tried to include the Hindu people and allowed this Buddhist monastery to represent both religions. The wonderful monastery remains at Parapur and tells us of the past glories of Buddhism in this region.
Okay, this is a place from the time that Buddhists been in the world for a few centuries and had its organization as one of the main religion in the world. But what I found really interesting of the inclusion and tolerance of the people here regarding to the other religion and culture in the region, which is pretty much the soul of the Buddhism. So that was a quick live about the heritage of Buddhism in northern India and Nepal, and the places that Buddhism has started as a religion, as an art, culture, and way of thinking. And wanted to just highlight these very important places among so many other beautiful and interesting places in northern India and Nepal. That was what I wanted to share with you. This live is a bit shorter,